We have a handful of presuppositions. These are things that we assume are useful, not necessarily true. They may or may not be true. We can't necessarily say that. They're really handy to use, to build on. So, we are going to use the idea that everything has a process to it that's independent of the content that's involved. And most of the time, it's a lot easier to change the process that we maintain beliefs than it is to change the content of the belief. So, you may believe that you are not good at math, and you have some method that you convince yourself. You may go inside and tell yourself, I'm no good at math. You may find that when you look at a math problem, the first thing that you do is go inside and tell yourself, I'm no good at math. Or you go inside and tell yourself, I'm no good at math, and feel bad. Well, how about we change the order of things, feel bad that I don't understand math yet, and see how that would change things. So, we have the presupposition that the process is often easier to change than the content. We have the idea that the meaning of communication is the response that you get from it, which takes the wind out of a lot of people's sails in that, well, you just didn't understand me. Oh, wait, it's the response that I get, not the words that I use. So that puts the brunt of understanding of communication back on each of us as individuals. We have to be able to, if we're not eliciting the response that we want, change what we do so that they can change the response. The idea that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So, we have VAKOG, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. These are our 5 senses. That's how we perceive the world. This is the only way that we perceive the world. As far as we know, that is reality. Whatever we see, hear, taste, touch, smell. Another handy presupposition is that everyone has the resources available inside them to do whatever they need to do. If they need to make changes, they have those resources. Again, it may or may not be true in all cases, but it's a useful presupposition. It's very nice to have the idea that people have this aspect. Oh! Okay. Another lovely presupposition is that the map is not the territory. Just because we make this representation of the world doesn't mean that it's complete. Have you ever had a map that had every single feature of the world on it? It would be really hard to fold back up, if nothing else. Since to get everything on there, it kind of have to be the same size as the world. So all of our maps are automatically simplifications of what's really out there. Road maps get out of date. They move roads, they close things, they change one-ways, they do these things. So, you look at a map, it may or may not be accurate. It may have been accurate at the time. So, the other aspect that goes with this is that people respond to their maps, not reality. Because, as far as we know, all that there is what we see, hear, touch, smell, taste. So, we have a few more presuppositions that the value of an individual is held constant. Everyone is always valuable. A behavior may or may not be appropriate in a given context. So the behavior has the possibility of being good, bad, if you want to use those labels. The person is always valuable. We have another idea that ties in there is that every behavior had a positive intent behind it at some point. Whether it's the fear of driving over bridges, It may have been that you were in an accident as a kid, and so your subconscious says, I'm not going to drive over bridges because last time we drove over a bridge, we got in an accident and spun out. So there is some positive intent hiding behind there, but it may not be useful anymore. But the flip side of that is that every behavior also has a context where it is useful. Procrastination is a really useful thing if you apply it to chocolate cake, if you're trying to lose weight. If you apply it to smoking, if you apply it to, hey, well, I never did get around to doing that, did I? So there are quite a few things that it doesn't always seem positive, but it depends on the context. And finally, we have the idea here of feedback versus failure. The only way that you can fail is if you put time constraints on yourself. Anytime that people consider something failure, it's really just feedback. What I did didn't get me the results that I wanted. So now, I need to have the behavioral flexibility to try something else. And we can go back to, hey, it's just feedback. I didn't fail as a communicator. Nothing's wrong. I just didn't get the result that I'm after. So now I have to try something else. I'm going the wrong direction. Everybody okay on these ideas so far? Kind of, sort of, might make sense.